YB stays on your neck.
Yo, my dons, make sure you hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and obviously hit the bell for notifications. So as you can see on your screen now, before I go into actually the Lennox Lewis reaction to the Tyson Fury situation, I want to talk about this Polly ran about the fight, and it's just funny how gassed Fury fans are. 76% predicted a KO before the fight. Wow. I guess to be fair, you could sit there and say maybe I would have done, but no, I wouldn't have done because I know I don't live in Cow Cuckoo Land. I know Fury ain't got not even a lick of power, not even a bit of power has he got. Listen, people say, oh well, look, and this is the problem you see. And this is where John Fury's gone wrong, because instead of calling a spade at the time, what happened? He put Schwartz down, and John Fury was all over him. Anyone who wants to see my video, I reacted to it. John Fury was literally talking about how Schwartz would have given anyone trouble tonight, and how Fury in that kind of shape and position would have knocked anyone out. I'm sorry, but in 3 months, you can't fall off the wagon that much. This fight just goes to prove that Wallin came there half to have a fight, and Schwartz just fell over. That's what that proves. That's what that Fury knockout proved. Now everyone jumped on the bandwagon after the Schwartz fight, and as you can see here, 76% all of a sudden thought Tyson Fury's was Mike Tyson, it seems. Anyway, let's now get on with what Lennox Lewis said in reaction. So his first comment was, Fury needs to let that right hand go, especially with that cut in play. Lennox, where have you been all this time? I know this is the problem you see. Once again, same as John Fury. This is what happens when you spend the last 2 years blowing Fury off. When you spend the last 2 years blowing off fighters or bigging them up to be stuff they ain't, that's why you're confused where his right hand is. When has Fury ever had a right hand? Oh, Fury needs to let his right hand go. He's never had a right hand. Never had one. Never had one that anyone's been worried about anyway. So why are you acting shocked for, oh, he needs to let it go? As if Fury was renowned for dinging his right hand and having a devastating right hand. Now, as an example, if it was a Wilder fight, and for some reason Wilder wasn't slinging his right hand, I get it. But don't give advice out as if that is something to do. Don't give it. It's not like, even if Fury was. To be honest with you, I'm not Lennox Lewis, but from where I was sitting, I thought Fury was throwing right hands. It wasn't that he wasn't throwing right hands. It wasn't that he wasn't throwing power punches. It was that his power punches are so poor technique, number one, and number two, don't have no power, ultimately speaking. It's funny, someone in the comments yesterday said, yes, how is YB giving technique advice? Okay, fine, don't listen to me then. If you think Fury's power punches are good technique, go for it. There's a reason some fighters knock people out and others don't. And if Fury wants to carry on slapping, Wallin is an average top 50 fighter. Didn't hurt him even once. Do you not think that's worrying? A 250-pound man couldn't hurt another 250-pound man. And he's meant to be the lineal champion. That's your business anyway. Listen, that's the first thing. Fury don't have no right hand. You don't have no right hand. You don't have no power punches. Next thing. Lennox says, I see Fury giving away too many advantages and making this a more difficult fight than it has to be. What are Fury's advantages? Now, this actually interestingly relates to the stuff I talked about in my post-fight reaction. Once again, Lennox experienced Lewis is overlooking the fact, in my opinion, that Tyson Fury is... People think I'm having a laugh when I say this. Look at DeGale. Listen, don't listen to me. As always, the YB goes on data, yeah? I've seen DeGale. Honestly, I'm relatively new to boxing, yeah? So when people used to talk about fighters being shot, when people used to talk about fighters being finished, or people talking about their legs being gone, I didn't really get what they meant. And that's why I bring up DeGale so much, because DeGale for me was the first time in my boxing career as such that I've actually seen a fighter go from A to shot. I couldn't believe it in there. His legs are just gone. His power just gone. And what do we see with Fury here? His legs were gone. His power is gone. Now, Fury wasn't the most powerful at the best of times, but he's fell off the wagon here, man. He looks like DeGale. What do we know about DeGale? DeGale used to be not a similar... Well, I guess you could argue to an extent a similar fighter to Fury, in as much as he was long. He had good feet work. He had a good jab and his right hand was pretty good. DeGale's was. Fury's weren't, but DeGale's was. Completely gone. Right hand gone, jab gone, legs gone. DeGale looked like Bambi in there. I'm pretty sure he fell over a few times as well. That just goes to show His legs weren't holding up right. And let's get it right as well. Fury's legs aren't the strongest at the best of times. They're a bit spindly anyway. It don't take much for them to lose balance. And that's what I believe we're seeing here. It's not a case of, oh, well, Fury's giving away his advantages. He's shot. Yes, he should keep it long. But the minute them legs go, and that's what I'm trying to implore to AJ, that running back game is one-dimensional. The minute you get a bit tired, the whole lot shuts down, as we found out. Because Otto Wallin, a top 50 fighter, turned Fury into any man tonight, last night. He turned him into any man. A top 50 fighter turned him into any man. And that all came down to his legs running out. That whole running back and flicking a jab all night only works if your legs are 10-10. Only works. And another example of it, the perfect example, Ali. Ali is much greater than Fury, but even so, as he got older, as he became more shot, his legs gave out as well, and he ended up being a bit of a punching bag in as much as he couldn't move no more. His movement had gone, and he wasn't like a George Foreman who George Foreman didn't have no feet, but that's what I'm saying. But George Foreman was able to box until he was 50 relatively successfully because he had the power in his hands. Ali didn't have that. Yeah, he had better power than Fury, of course, but he didn't have that. He couldn't get out of jail just sitting there and banging. Essentially, that's my opinion anyway. That's why he spent so much time in the ropes on the latter end of his career, because his legs were shot. And Fury looks like he's heading towards that. And you got to remember as well, Ali spent a lot of time on the ropes doing the rope-a-dope against world-level people. By the way, Fury, he's going life and death now with Wallin. It's scary, and I'm sorry, all you lot gassing Fury up. And I'm getting to the point now, to be honest, where I want to see the Wilder fight now, because everyone's saying, oh, YB, being biased, oh, YB, Fury won 9 rounds. You know what? You're right, he did win 9 rounds. You know what? He did, yeah, he did look amazing. You lot, I'll tell you what I'm going to do from now on. You're right. Put Fury in there with Wilder. I don't want to hear no one crying, I don't want to hear no one crying after the fight. Don't come to this channel, because I told you. But you're right. Put him in there with Wilder and see how he gets on. Because you lot are delusional. I don't know what you think he's going to go in there. Go in there and what? Faint his way to victory. He don't have no firepower on the inside. He don't have no firepower on the outside. He has nothing to offer. He has nothing to scare Wilder with. He couldn't even scare Wallin. Get real. Anyway, the last thing Lennox Lewis says is Fury gets the win. Wallin's stock rises. Without a doubt, the most impressive job of the night goes to Fury's cut man. So that don't really say much. Anyway, I'll leave the video there. Lennox Lewis makes me laugh because I've pointed it out many times, but he talks about how AJ wouldn't want any parts of Fury, wouldn't want any parts of Wilder. Why hasn't he put a tweet out saying, after seeing that fight, I'm sure AJ wants to be all over that, but he wouldn't do that. He will never eat crow, Lennox won't. He will never actually say he was wrong. Put your hands in the air, Lennox. You talk rubbish. You meant to know boxing, but you don't. Because if you think AJ don't want none of that, and I've been saying this for years. Now, don't get me wrong. I've been critical of AJ. I believe if AJ goes in there with Fury and tries to play back foot, he'll probably lose. But I'm saying if AJ goes in there like the old guy and marches forward, always forward, Fury would have been knocked out within 6 rounds that night. And any other night, to be honest, because Wallin don't have no inside game, and he made Fury look average. Imagine what AJ would have done to him that night or any night. Don't matter. It's all the same.